The day my grandfather passed, I inherited two things, his wealth and his wisdom. In his final letter, he wrote, "People show who they really are when they think you have nothing to offer." I was 32 when that letter arrived, along with legal documents confirming my inheritance. $60 million in diverse assets, including luxury properties in 4 countries and major stakes in several West Coast tech firms. My grandfather, Henry Carter, had been a quiet titan in Seattle's real estate and venture capital scenes. The public knew his companies, but few knew him. My parents never respected him. To them, Grandpa Henry was just a grumpy old man who never bought them the beachfront property or private jet they constantly hinted at. They had no clue he was one of the wealthiest men on the West Coast, and that's exactly how he wanted it. "Madeline," my mother's sharp voice pulled me from my thoughts. "Did your grandfather at least leave us something useful, or was it more of those dusty journals he was obsessed with?" I glanced up at her, Corinne Langford, flawless in her designer blouse, with disappointment practically embedded in her expression. "Just some old journals," I said smoothly. Tucking the letter into my jacket pocket, she rolled her eyes. "Typical. That man never understood how to help his family get ahead. Do you know what the Whitmores would think if they saw the state of our Mercedes?" Yes, the Whitmores, the Prestons, the Donovans. I'd heard about them all. For decades my mother chased their approval like a career. Their opinion meant more to her than mine ever did. "I'm sure they're too busy with their private islands to care about our car, Mom." "That's exactly the attitude I worry about," she snapped. "You're just like him. No ambition. Thank God Garrett has his head on straight." Ah yes, Garrett, my younger brother by 5 years, the family prodigy, the golden boy, still living in my parents' guest house at 27, having burned through their money on 3 failed app launches and a tech podcast that no one listened to. "Speaking of Garrett," my mom continued, now perking up, "he's just been accepted into Stanford's executive MBA program. We're hosting a dinner tonight to celebrate. All the right people will be there. Wear something tasteful." Her eyes swept over my jeans and cardigan like they were a personal betrayal. I nodded silently. No mention, of course, of the fact that I had earned my MBA from Wharton at 29 while working 2 jobs they called embarrassing and beneath our name. That night, I went home to my cozy loft above a small bookstore in Fremont. The store was a front. I owned the building, along with half the street, but my family thought I was just a struggling bookkeeper with a quirky dream and bad taste in cars. My phone buzzed, from Dad. "Don't be late. Whitmore's bringing their son Graham. Wear the emerald dress your mother picked." Graham Whitmore, of course. Their perfect candidate for a son-in-law. If only they knew I could buy his father's hedge fund twice over and still have money for brunch. I arrived at the dinner wearing a tailored black dress, simple, elegant, completely different from the peacock green monstrosity my mom had picked. The valet barely disguised his pity as he took my Subaru keys. Inside the house was a tribute to forced grandeur, chandeliers, rented floral arches, and laughter with just a hint of desperation. "Madeline," my mother hissed as she cornered me by the foyer, "why aren't you wearing the emerald dress?" "This one was clean," I replied. She closed her eyes. "Just try to make a good impression on Graham. He's important." I bit my tongue. I'd read the quarterly reports for Whitmore & Co., They were 2 bad quarters from insolvency. Then Garrett made his entrance, perfect tux, champagne in hand, zero sense of irony. My parents glowed. They paraded him around like a trophy. I spent the night dodging Graham's mommy smiles and my parents' backhanded comments, watching them pretend their world wasn't already cracking. What they didn't know was, I owned those cracks. Every loan, every credit card, every desperate cash-out refinance, they were all under shell companies I controlled. They were too far gone to realize I'd been buying their debt quietly for nearly 2 years. The collapse started small, one less housekeeper, then their club membership temporarily suspended. Soon after, Mom's wardrobe got noticeably thriftier, though she insisted it was vintage chic. But Garrett, his spending never slowed, so when I saw him cruise by the bookstore in a brand new Tesla, I knew they'd hit bottom. From my actual office, the corner suite on the 38th floor of Carter Holdings in downtown Seattle, I pulled up their accounts. Miss Langford, my assistant Rachel buzzed in. There's a $190,000 withdrawal from your parents' line of credit. How much is left? Under $30,000, and their property taxes are due next week. Begin the foreclosure process, I said. The next morning Mom showed up at the bookstore, frantic. Madeline, thank God, something horrible happened. The bank is threatening to seize the house. We just need a little help. Just a loan, darling. You must have something saved. I gave her my most apologetic look. I make $42,000 a year, Mom. After rent, I have maybe $2,000 saved. She scoffed. You must have some emergency fund. That is my emergency fund. Her eyes narrowed. You could ask your boss for an advance. You mean the bookstore owner? I smiled. He's pretty strict. She stormed out. That night my father called. We need to speak, like adults. I can't give you my savings, Dad. This family has a reputation to maintain. We can't lose the house. It'll ruin Gary's prospects. I nearly laughed. He just bought a Tesla. Maybe he can sell that. That's different. He needs to look successful to attract investors. What about me? A pause. Then let's be honest, Madeline, you've chosen a simpler life. Gary's future still holds promise. I see. Then you're no daughter of mine. Click. The courtroom reveal. 3 weeks later, I sat in the bankruptcy hearing, front row silent, unnoticed. My parents arrived in Gary's Tesla. Their expressions were proud, clueless. All rise, the clerk called. Case #914. The Langford family bankruptcy petition. The judge glanced up. Do we have a representative for the primary creditor? I stood, adjusting my navy blue suit. Yes, Your Honor. Madeline Carter, representing Carter Holdings. 3 heads spun around. My mother gasped. My father's jaw clenched. Garrett blinked like I was a ghost. What is this? My father barked. Your Honor, I continued. Over the last 18 months, Carter Holdings has legally acquired all outstanding debt owed by the Langfords, totaling $13.2 million. That's insane, Garrett blurted. She works in a bookstore. I smiled. No, I own the bookstore, and the real estate portfolio attached to it. I'm the CEO of Carter Holdings, previously owned by Henry Carter, my grandfather. The courtroom whispered. I'm not here to crush you. I'm here with an offer. The judge raised an eyebrow. Proceed. I'll forgive the debt under these conditions. 1. Gary's spending is cut off. 2. You both attend mandatory financial counseling. 3. The house is sold. I've already purchased a modest 3-bedroom for you in Bellevue. This is betrayal. My father growled. No, I replied. This is the bill for 2 decades of favoritism and disrespect. You never saw me. Maybe now, you finally will. 3 months later, I checked in on the numbers. They were sticking to the budget. Garrett was working entry-level tech support, but still, I framed a photo of Grandpa Henry and me outside that bookstore, the very one that became my quiet fortress. His final lesson stayed with me. True wealth isn't what you show, it's what you choose not to show, until the right moment. And that emerald dress my mom loved, I bought the company that made it, shut it down. It was ugly anyway.